Hello everyone. Today I will be sharing with you about an article I read which explains how to help students set personal reading goals to further achieve on reading tests. The article focuses on Miss Villarreal, an elementary school teacher in Valparaiso School District. Miss Villarreal, like many teachers, feels pressured by new tests such as the Measures of Academic Progress test. These tests help determine student achievement, and that in turn reflects on teacher evaluations. Ms. Villarreal knows that her students have reading skills, but is worried that the test scores may not portray that. She knows that she has taught all of the material, but she realizes that students must also be motivated to read on their own so that they can further establish the skills they already have. To do this, she sets up a plan of arranging goal-setting conferences with her students. She arranges the conferences individually so that she can work one-on-one with students. She remembers the three components of a successful goal: specificity, proximity, and difficulty. Specificity implies that the goal is very specific. For example, a broad goal, such as the student will learn to read better, isn't very specific. So the student would try to make a more specific goal that had a certain genre of book or a certain reading level in mind. Proximity refers to the timeliness of a goal. For example, meeting with students and explaining that she wants them to raise their test score by 5 points doesn't really help the student understand how to get to that point. Short-term goals that lead to that end result are more successful with students. Another important thing to remember when setting goals is that they don't need to be too easy or too difficult. If a goal is too easy or difficult, a student may automatically shut down and not do it because they doubt their abilities or think it's too easy. Students are more likely to be motivated if their goals are short-term, if they're very specific, and if they're at a very moderate level of difficulty for them. To do this, Ms. Villarreal developed a plan to help her entire class set goals. To begin, she asked students to brainstorm some goals that they had for their lives. Students answered with responses such as becoming a veterinarian or a lawyer or a soccer player. Some of the students didn't want to express their goals, so Ms. Villarreal added to her component of goals to share one of her own personal goals to help them get thinking in the right direction. After they explained their personal goals, she asked them how long they thought it would take to achieve these goals. Students answered with responses that varied from 4 years to 8 years, but the general consensus was that the goals would take several years to complete. Ms. Villarreal then presented a goal she had for herself in the classroom: to reorganize her library. She asked the students how long they thought it would take for her to complete this goal. They decided that it would take anywhere from a few hours to a few days, but admitted that this goal was easily attainable because it was a short period of time. She then made the transition to reading goals by asking students to think of some goals that they would like to set for themselves when independently reading. The students discussed their goals as a class and talked about them being specific, proximal, and moderately difficult. Then she had the students brainstorm 4 specific goals that they had for themselves, such as reading a book in a genre they had never read before, like mystery or biography, and then they brainstormed and shared their ideas with their group mates. After this, Ms. Villarreal scheduled goal conferences with each of the students and went over their goals more in depth. The article specifically references a student named Jesus who had a goal to read better. Ms. Villarreal asked him and prompted him and provided him with the scaffolding to realize that he needed to make his goal more specific. They decided that instead of just reading better, he would strive to read a book in a higher level than he's currently at and to try reading from the mystery genre, which he'd never read before. They also discussed that he may need to read a lower level mystery novel first so that he can become familiar with the format of a mystery novel. Ms. Villarreal provided him with a mystery novel at a lower reading level so that he was able to get acclimated to the genre. After this, students would work daily during independent reading time to accomplish their goals. Every 2 weeks, Ms. Villarreal would have a follow-up conference with the students to check on their progress. She would have students cross out goals as they reach them and underline goals that may be in progress. This lasted for an 8-week period, giving the students about 2 weeks to complete each goal. The students also discussed with Ms. Villarreal during these follow-up conferences the order in which they would go after their next goal. After the 8-week period, the students and Ms. Villarreal reflected as a class on the goals they had accomplished. While Ms. Villarreal praised students for completing all 4 goals, she explained to them that it was awesome that they even completed one, so all of the students felt highly encouraged and motivated. Studies have shown that students who have received reading instruction that Ms. Villarreal and other teachers provide and incorporate goals score higher on MAP testing. Studies also show that students of different genders, ethnicities, and native languages have the same results, which makes this method universally helpful. Goal conferences cannot replace a regular reading program, but they do help further establish a love of reading and a motivation to achieve more. Because students are able to set their own goals and have a choice in what they read and how they accomplish their goals, they're more motivated intrinsically to love reading. This in turn helps them perform better on state testing, which reflects better on the teacher as a whole. By intrinsically motivating students with a method such as this, we can ensure that they are successful and teachers are reflected in a positive light. Although goal-based reading cannot replace a normal reading literacy program, setting these goals can help further a love for reading and help students want to read more independently. This allows them to apply the knowledge that they learn in the regular education classroom and become better readers. This allows them to perform better on state testing. When students perform better on state testing, it reflects the students' abilities better and more accurately represents their knowledge. This also reflects positively on teachers because it has a better representation of the information that students are learning in class. By setting goals and achieving these goals, students are more motivated to succeed in reading. Thank you so much for your time listening to my article review.